Tonight you're going to do something ancient. You won't plan it. You won't even notice it. But sometime after the sun goes down, you will gather around a small glowing light, and you will lose yourself in stories. Maybe the light is a television. Maybe it's a phone screen 6 inches from your face. You'll think you're just relaxing. But the real answer is far stranger. You are performing a ritual so old that it may have built the human mind itself. A ritual shared by every ancient civilization ever discovered. A ritual that archaeologists find traces of on every continent, in every era, in every culture that has ever left a mark on this planet. The ritual of firelight stories. Go back 100,000 years. The sun is setting over an African savanna. Your ancestors have spent the entire day working, gathering roots, tracking animals, watching for predators. Daylight hours were serious hours. There was no time for anything that didn't keep you alive. And then the sun dropped below the horizon, and everything changed. Darkness in the ancient world was not like your darkness. There were no streetlights bleeding through the curtains, no glowing clock on the nightstand. When the sun set, the world became a wall of black, filled with things that could see you far better than you could see them. Lions hunt at night. Leopards hunt at night. Hyenas hunt at night. For almost every animal on the savannah, nightfall meant one of two things: hide or hunt. But your ancestors did something no other animal on Earth had ever done. They made their own sun. Fire changed everything, and you've probably heard that before. You've heard that fire cooked food, that it kept predators away, that it provided warmth in the cold. All true. But there's one thing fire did that almost nobody talks about. Fire extended the day. For the first time in the history of life on Earth, a species had usable hours after dark. Hours when the work was done. Hours when nobody was hungry. Hours when there was nothing to do but sit together in a circle of orange light, surrounded by darkness. What do you think they did with those hours? An anthropologist named Polly Wiesner spent decades trying to answer that exact question. She lived with the Jew/Huansi people of the Kalahari Desert, one of the last hunter-gatherer societies on Earth, and she did something brilliantly simple. She recorded their conversations, thousands of them. Then she sorted them by time of day. What she found was astonishing. During daylight hours, the Yuhuansi talked almost entirely about practical things: food, complaints, gossip, economic matters, who owed what to whom. Only 6% of daytime conversation involved stories. But at night, around the fire, everything flipped. 81% of firelight conversation was storytelling. Tales of ancestors, legends of distant places, accounts of people long dead and marriages long past. The fire didn't just change what people could see. It changed what people talked about. It changed how people thought. And here's where it gets stranger. This wasn't just one culture's habit. It was everyone's. Archaeologists find controlled fire hearths at Kesem Cave in Israel dating back 300,000 years. They find them in Europe, used by Neanderthals. They find them in ancient China, in Australia, in the Americas. And wherever humans left behind writing or oral tradition, we find the same pattern attached to those fires. Stories told at night. The ancient Greeks gathered at hearths to hear traveling bards recite epics. Norse families spent brutal winters around fires listening to sagas. Aboriginal Australians passed down songlines by firelight for tens of thousands of years, encoding maps of the entire continent into nighttime stories. West African griots, Polynesian navigators, Native American winter tales, which in many nations could only be told after dark. In the storytelling season, different continents, different languages, different gods. Same ritual, every single time. Why? Why would every human culture, separated by oceans and millennia, independently arrive at the exact same behavior? The answer might be that the ritual isn't cultural at all. It might be biological. It might be what made you human in the first place. Think about what a story actually does to your brain. When someone tells you about a hunter who got trapped by a rising river, your brain doesn't just process the words, it simulates the experience. Neuroscientists have watched this happen in brain scanners. Hearing about running lights up your motor cortex. Hearing about the smell of smoke activates your smell centers. A story is a flight simulator for life. It lets you experience danger without dying. Mistakes without consequences. 100 lifetimes of lessons compressed into a single evening by the fire. Your ancestors who listened to stories learned where the floods came, which plants killed, how a feud destroyed a family 3 generations ago. The ones who didn't listen learned those lessons the hard way. Many of them didn't survive the lesson. In 2017, a researcher named Andrea Migliano and her team studied the Acta people, hunter-gatherers of the Philippines, and asked a beautiful question. What do these communities value most in a person? They expected the answer to be hunting skill, or strength, or medical knowledge. It wasn't. The single most valued skill in Acta camps was storytelling. Skilled storytellers were more likely to be chosen as companions. They had more children. They were given more resources. Being good at stories was literally an evolutionary advantage. And when the researchers analyzed the stories themselves, they found something remarkable. The stories weren't random entertainment. They were almost all about cooperation, sharing, equality between men and women, respecting the group. The camps with the best storytellers were measurably more cooperative than the camps without them. The stories weren't just passing time, they were programming the society. The evolutionary psychologist Robin Dunbar has argued that this is exactly how humans solve their biggest problem. Most primates hold their groups together through grooming, physical touch, one-on-one, for hours. But grooming has a limit. You can only groom one friend at a time. Human groups grew too large for that, so we needed something better, something that could bond many people at once. Language did part of the job, but stories, told to a whole group in the dark, did something more. They gave everyone the same memories, the same heroes, the same fears, the same invisible rules. 30 strangers who share the same stories are no longer 30 strangers. They are a people, and the darkness itself was part of the machine. This is the detail almost everyone misses. Firelight stories worked because of the night, not in spite of it. In darkness, you can't read faces clearly. You can't see judgment in someone's eyes. Psychologists have found that people disclose more in low light, that anonymity loosens the tongue. Around the fire, hierarchies softened. The flickering light and the surrounding blackness pulled attention inward, toward the voice, toward the shared images forming in every listener's mind. The fire was the world's first screen, and every mind around it was tuned to the same channel. Now come back to the present. It's evening. The sun has gone down. What are you doing? Be honest. You are sitting in a dim room, facing a glowing rectangle, watching stories about people who don't exist. Or you're lying in bed, scrolling through fragments of other people's lives, one flickering tale after another. 2/3 of your evening screen time is narrative content. Shows, movies, videos of strangers telling you about their day. You think this is a modern habit, a product of technology? It isn't. The technology is new. The ritual is not. Netflix did not invent the desire to gather around glowing light at night and disappear into stories. It inherited that desire. It is 300,000 years old, and it is wired into you so deeply that you perform the ritual every single night without ever once realizing what you're doing. Even the details survived. Ancient storytellers learned to end each night's tale at a moment of tension, so listeners would return to the fire tomorrow. You call that a cliffhanger, and it's the reason you just watched 4 episodes instead of 1. Ancient fires drew the whole camp into one circle. You call that a watch party, a movie night, sitting around a campfire on vacation feeling strangely, inexplicably content. Have you ever wondered why staring into a campfire feels so hypnotically good? Why conversations around a fire go deeper, get quieter, turn to memories and confessions? Researchers have measured it. Watching a fire with crackling sounds lowers your blood pressure. The longer you watch, the more relaxed you become. Your body still remembers the circle of light. It still knows that fire means the day's dangers are over. The group is gathered and the stories are about to begin. But something has changed, and it's worth pausing on. The ancient ritual had one ingredient your version often lacks: other people. The fire bonded groups because everyone heard the same story at the same time, felt the same fear, laughed at the same moment. Your glowing screen tells stories to you alone. Same ritual, same hunger, but the circle has shrunk to a single person. Some scientists wonder whether that's part of why loneliness keeps rising even as entertainment becomes infinite. You're getting the stories, you're missing the fire. So tonight, notice it. Notice the moment the sun goes down and something in you starts reaching for a story. Notice the pull toward the glowing light. That pull kept your ancestors alive. It taught them everything the daylight couldn't. It turned strangers into tribes, tribes into cultures, cultures into civilizations. Every myth, every religion, every epic, every history your species has ever created was born in a circle of firelight, in the hours the flames stole back from the dark. Tonight, you're going to do something ancient. But now you know what it is. You are the newest voice in a circle that has never once been broken, gathering around the fire your ancestors lit 300,000 years ago. The fire changed shape. It became a hearth, a stage, a page, a screen, but it never went out. And every night when the sun goes down and you turn toward the glowing light, you keep it burning.